Hello Leo, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Every month leaves its own symbols. Today let's discover what August may be reflecting for you, not only through tarot, but also through the sky above us. We have the Queen of Cups reversed, the Knight of Cups, the King of Swords, and our oracle card is Negotiations. With the Bellini cards, I don't read reversals, just as it was traditionally intended to be read. We will return to these cards in just a moment. Let's begin with the month itself. Jupiter entered your sign in late June, where it will remain until July 2027. With Jupiter returning to your first house of identity, you may experience personal growth and a renewal sense of vitality. Jupiter is a planet of expansion and abundance. During the coming year, you may feel that new paths begin opening with greater ease. As your identity begins to shift, perhaps your closest relationship dynamics begin to change. Perhaps certain friendships grow closer, while others quietly fall away. This month also brings two especially meaningful events. On August 12th, we experience both a new moon and a solar eclipse in Leo. A new moon marks a beginning. An eclipse often brings a deeper reset. Together, they invite us to release what no longer reflects who we are becoming, making space for something more authentic to emerge. The sky doesn't force change. It creates moments that invite it. August feels like one of those moments. For you, Leo, as this eclipse falls in your first house of self, it may be an invitation to release the need for external approval and reconnect with the most authentic version of yourself. Perhaps your understanding of partnerships begin to evolve. Perhaps your closest relationships become more authentic. Perhaps you are stepping into leadership roles that ask for a truer version of who you are. I'd like to share two symbolic reflections that capture the spirit of this moment. Beyond applause. When approval becomes your measure, the soul grows tired. Release the need for validation, comparison, and endless pursuit. True worth is not performed, it's remembered. Come home to what is real, not what is seen. As Jupiter expands Leo's energy, it also expands whatever is ready to be seen. That includes our gifts and sometimes our shadows. This card gently asks, where do I still measure my worth through someone else's eyes? Where I have forgotten that my value has always existed, even when no one is watching. Sometimes the strongest foundation we can build is the quiet confidence that no longer depends on applause. The inner sun, a new beginning of self-remembering. Step into the light that has always lived within you. Honor your inner child, your source of joy, creativity, and truth. You are not becoming the light. You are returning to it. Once we loosen our grip on external approval, something beautiful begins to awaken. The inner sun reminds us our deepest confidence has never come from outside ourselves. It has always lived within. This month may reconnect you with forgotten dreams, simple joys, creative passions, or the quiet part of yourself that creates, because it is your nature. Toward the end of the month, on August 28th, we have the full moon and lunar eclipse in Pisces. For Leo, this illuminates your 8th house. the realm of shared resources, intimacy, and transformation. Perhaps this full moon helps illuminate something that has remained hidden until now. After a month of new beginnings, this full moon reminds us that not everything needs to be solved, that some things simply ask to be surrendered or gently released. The circle of giving. We are here to give from our hearts, and we are here to receive with grace. True balance is not in giving more, but in honoring the sacred flow between both. Together we rise, together we heal. Many of us find it easier to give than receive. We offer our time, our energy, our care, but struggle to accept support when it is offered back. This full moon invites a balance, because giving and receiving are not opposites. They complete one another. The skies often ask us to grow. The cards often ask us to look within. Neither can choose our path for us. But together, they remind us that meaning is something we create. So let's turn to the cards and see what they may be reflecting for you this month. Let's begin with the Queen of Cups reversed. The little girl hangs upside down. Instead of reaching toward the fish, she almost seems surprised that it has happened. I don't think this card speaks about immaturity. I think it speaks about emotions that haven't quite found their voice. Sometimes we dismiss our own feelings. Sometimes we postpone difficult conversations. Sometimes we keep smiling while quietly wondering, does anyone actually knows what's happening inside me? The reverse page asks, what have you been trying not to feel? Not because you are weak, because perhaps you didn't yet know how to name it. Unlike many tarot decks, this knight is not charging forward. He's riding a rocking horse. Rocking horses move without actually going anywhere. How many times have we prepared ourselves, rehearsed conversations, imagined outcomes, only to realize we are still standing in the same place? The knight asks a beautiful question. What would happen if imagination became action? Sometimes courage is not another dream. It's making one phone call, sending one message, having one honest conversation, taking one genuine step. This may be my favorite card in this spread. She sits quietly, letters swirl around her, the wind is moving, the world is moving, but she remains completely present. The King of Swords doesn't speak simply because he has something to say. He speaks because he has finally learned the value of truth. Not harsh truth, clear truth. There comes a moment in many lives when we stop explaining ourselves to everyone. Not because we have become cold, because we have become certain. The king asks, what deserves my words and what deserves my silence? Sometimes silence is not avoidance, it's wisdom. I smiled when I saw this card, because after everything we have just witnessed, this is not really about arguing, it's about dialogue. The birds are all talking, some louder than others, some perhaps not even listening. It reminds us how easily conversations become competitions. Everyone waiting for their turn to speak, very few waiting to understand. Negotiation asks us to approach conversations differently, not asking, how do I win? But asking, what truth are we trying to discover together? Sometimes the greatest negotiation is not with another person. Sometimes it's the conversation we finally have with ourselves. Leo, August doesn't ask you to become someone new. Perhaps you have been holding back words that need to be spoken. Perhaps you have been protecting feelings that deserve compassion. Perhaps you have been waiting for certainty before taking the next step. This card suggests something different. Feel honestly, move sincerely, speak clearly. Because authenticity is not created in one single moment. It is built one honest conversation at a time. And perhaps that's why negotiations appears at the end of your reading. Not to encourage conflict, but to remind you that the strongest relationships, the healthiest partnerships, and even the relationship you have with yourself are built through conversations where truth and kindness are allowed to sit at the same table. Leo, August may not ask you to roar. It may ask you to listen to yourself, to someone you love, and perhaps for the first time in a long while, to hear one another clearly. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and I'll see you in the next reading.